And welcome back, everybody, to a new episode of the DoDcast Postgame Show. I'm your host, co-editor Ricky Keeler, as the Washington Nationals avoid the three-game sweep against the St. Louis Cardinals with a 7-2 win. This game was all Nats from the beginning. Bryce Harper with 2 home runs in the first 3 innings against Carlos Martinez, which is kind of a surprise, Martinez being an all-star, and we'll get to all-stars later on. Max Scherzer was, of course, Max Scherzer. As one of our YouTube chat people, Judo Joker, likes to say, he was immaculate. 12 strikeouts over 7 innings. Was basically dominant from the first pitch. Had 4 straight strikeouts to start the game, and he never looked back. And it's just so much fun when you watch him pitch, because the Nats needed a game like this. They had been struggling in the first 2 games of this series. They were still kind of, I think, feeling the effects of not having Trey Turner. But everybody did their job tonight, and it was just real impressive to watch this team perform. Everybody in the starting lineup had a hit except Max Scherzer. So not a bad night all around from the offense. And when you got an ace on the mound like the way Scherzer was going, you're feeling really good about yourself. Especially when you get 23 swinging first pitch strikes. We want to get you involved. Of course, feel free to send a question to the YouTube chat. You can also tweet me on Twitter at DistrictOnDeck, at Rickinator555. We're going to talk All-Stars. We're going to talk Eric Fetty and some news on him today. It's kind of a surprise, but we'll get into it later on. But let's get into the totals and let's dive into some specifics with this game. Nationals had 7 runs, 10 hits, 1 error by Adam Lind. The ball went through his legs earlier in the game. Cardinals 2 runs, 5 hits, 1 error. That error coming from Randall Grichuk on a play where a sac fly by Wilmer Diffo. Max Scherzer gets the win. He goes to 10-5. Carlos Martinez takes the loss. He goes to 6-7. And I think this game you start off with was all Max Scherzer. Right from the beginning, like I said, 4 straight outs for the strikeout. Fastball was working at 98 at one point, but the one pitches are working tonight, his slider and his changeup. He did an excellent job throwing those pitches out away from the corners, getting the Cardinals to chase. St. Louis did adjust later in the game, gotten a lot of 3-ball counts, which I think kind of worked Scherzer's pitch count up a little bit. And they hit a couple to the track. But if it comes to a point where you just expect this from Max Scherzer, and there's not a lot of pitchers you expect 2 hits, 12 strikeouts, and 2 walks from on 100 pitches for 66 strikes and 23 swings and misses. But it's become that way with this guy. 3 times he has struck out 12 or more in a game this year. His ERA is now down to 1.94. Only pitcher under 2 in the majors this season. And he's got 10-plus strikeout games this year, including 7 of his last 8. I saw a stat from Nats PR sent out that he had 13 double-digit strikeout games all last year. And he won the Cy Young. He's got 10 already this year. We're not even at the All-Star break yet. So that's impressive in itself, how Scherzer just continues to be on a roll. He made the All-Star team, of course. And you would think with Clayton Kershaw starting on Sunday and not being able to pitch that Max Scherzer will start the All-Star game for the National League in Miami next week, and that's going to be a great accomplishment for him. I think he started with Detroit one time as well, so this would be actually his 2nd time that he would start the All-Star game if that's the case. But Scherzer did the job, and Bryce Harper helped him out early with a big 2-run shot in the first inning against Carlos Martinez to right, followed it up in the 3rd inning with a 2-run shot. Of course, Harper had help with Ryan Goodwin leading it off right out of the gate with a ground rule double. Goodwin's been excellent out of the leadoff spot. You talk about a guy that last 30 games has seen over 4.3 pitches per plate appearance. That's like Anthony Rendon numbers. So Goodwin is starting to get comfortable to that role. And I know he doesn't play really against lefties, but he's the guy I would want hitting leadoff every day because he does an excellent job working the count. Michael Taylor out of the 2 spot, I thought, did a nice job tonight as well. He goes 1 for 3 with a walk. But Harper, you heard the ESPN crew talking about during the game. He's kind of been working on an abbreviated swing. He hadn't hit a home run since the Marlins series, and you wonder now that he's sort of figured out the swing thing, maybe he's going to start to have a big hot streak going into the break. Goes 3 for 5 tonight, hits a line drive double in the 9th inning off Tommy Pham's glove in center that goes 110 miles an hour on the exit velo, which is impressive as well. And he was actually taking BP this weekend. And again, if you're not familiar, he normally doesn't take batting practice outside. He takes it in the cage. So you're seeing a different Bryce Harper. Maybe that's a good thing because Nationals could use that. So to get those home runs off Martinez, and they made Martinez struggle. There's a guy who is just as good as striking out hitters, maybe not as good as Scherzer, but he's definitely in the upper tier of striking out guys. And they put good at-bats together. Martinez didn't get his first strikeout until the third inning. And this offense makes you work. I mean, they weren't going to go many games to score many runs. They had only a couple runs in the first 2 games of the series. They were going to break out eventually, and Bryce Harper did that and helped this team early on, and they never looked back. Anthony Rendon, he picked up an RBI double 2 batters later in that third inning, made 5-0. They tacked on a couple sac flies in the 8th, which eventually made 7-0. St. Louis got 2 runs back on a Tommy Pham 2-run shot of Eddie Romero. Daniel Murphy had another double tonight. He's now hitting .334. Harper, as I said, 3 for 5, 4 RBIs. He's now at .318. Anybody else we can point out offensively? Ryan Zimmerman came into this game to pinch hit, but he got intentionally walked. So he gets basically a day off, and I think that was the right call by Dusty Baker. Not just because you get Adam Linden there against Martinez, but Zimmerman's kind of been struggling with the plate, just 4 for his last 25, and if you can get him a day off, get him a day off. He's got 8 home runs combined against the next 2 opponents this year, the Mets and the Braves. So maybe he breaks out in that final week going into the All-Star break, and that's what the Nationals could use. So I like that idea all around. Seth says, hey, guys, win makes feel good because feel better, Seth, definitely. And Judo's here. What's up, Judo? Fun game. The best part of Max and Bryce isn't just how good they are, even how competitive they are. They play with so much personality. It's fun to watch, even for non-baseball fans. Yeah, definitely. I think I love the fact when Scherzer grunts on the mound. It's a lot of fun to watch. You just know he's exerting all that energy. Harper, of course, is very fun to watch. Hit the ball, run the bases. But I love this from a baseball perspective that he works the count as well as he does. I mean, I like to look at how many pitches guys see per game. Harper saw about 21 tonight. The guys who had the most were Michael Taylor and Adam Lind saw 24 pitches. So you don't normally get that from Adam Lind every night. But this lineup it will grind any opposing pitcher. Period. It will grind at every at-bat, and it will do an excellent job of making a pitcher work through the game. And Martinez only went 5 innings because of that. And I thought that was really impressive. They didn't really do much against Mike Leake, which wasn't a surprise Friday. Michael Wacha, who dominates them and was struggling coming in, at least in throwing so many pitches, dominated him last night. So they needed a big game from the offense, and not having a 1-2-3 inning tonight, I think, defines that. They were that good. Goodwin is 9th double of the year. Murphy with 25 doubles, who now is 300 for his career. Rendon with 19. Wieters did 13 doubles, and Harper with 20 to go with his 20 home runs. Up to 62 RBIs on the season. Rendon at 51. The Nats scored 7 runs despite going 1 for 10 with men in scoring position. I think that's really good. Also, hashtag vote Rendon. We will get to that, Judo, definitely, but I would recommend go to MLB.com, vote for Anthony Rendon for that last spot in the All-Star team. Definitely deserves it. So after Scherzer, Eddie Romero came in, did not look sharp. 2 runs, 3 hits. He struck out 2. 19 of his 29 pitches for strikes. And again, with this Nats bullpen, Matt Albers threw a scoreless 9th inning. But again, you're bringing in your closer in a non-save situation again. Now, Ron and Drew and I talk about this when we're not doing the DoDcast. I think Dusty Baker just puts names in a hat and see who comes in every night. Because it's still I'm not going to harp on it because the Nationals won the game. But why are Eddie Romero and Matt Albers used in the same day all the time, it feels like? One of those guys should be safe when the other guy isn't available. That's what lost them the game on Thursday. So why is Dusty still putting those two together when those are arguably the 2 guys he trusts the most in his pen? They still have a lot of issues. And again, there's not a team really out there right now that's going to give them a bullpen piece. They're going to have to wait out the rest of the month and hope more teams fall out and hope teams are willing to sell and they get a good price. Because right now the odds aren't in their favor for that. But that we can get to that at a later time. We'll get into All-Stars now. Let's do that. Hope you feel better, Seth, by the way. 5 All-Stars for the Nationals. Ryan Zimmerman, who does edge out Anthony Rizzo. He starts at first base. That's the biggest story, I think, of this first half for the Nationals, how great Ryan Zimmerman has been. Daniel Murphy starts at second. Bryce Harper starts in right. He got the most votes of any player in any league. I think it was 4.6 million votes. So it shows you how popular Bryce Harper is. You have Max Scherzer getting it. And as I said before, he's likely going to start You would think, because Clayton Kershaw can't, so you'd think Max Scherzer would likely start the All-Star game. And Steven Strasburg makes it as well. Now, Gio Gonzalez didn't make it. I wouldn't worry about that just yet. You can always, if the pitchers back out, maybe Gio gets in that way. And it was going to be tough for him to get in anyway. Remember, you have to have one person from each team. And the National League took a lot of relief pitchers. Pat Neshek, Corey Knebel, Brad Hand. So that sometimes the teams you only get one player from, you're only taking a reliever from. So that's going to hurt your case too. There's also guys like Jacob deGrom who could get taken. I would think if for Kershaw, Alex Wood was mentioned on the ESPN telecast night. So it's not great odds that Gio get in. There's a chance. But I wasn't surprised Gio got left off the roster. I think the Nats have a case for 7 All-Stars, which is remarkable. And Rendon's got a tough field to crack for that final vote between Chris Bryant, Justin Bour, Mark Reynolds, and Justin Turner. There's a lot of worthy candidates there. The Dodgers were kind of bashing the fans for not voting, like Kenley Jansen and Justin Turner I saw. So maybe you take Turner off the list, and I think really you're dealing with Bryant. Then you got to find a way to, again, just like with Rizzo, you got to outvote the Cubs fans, Nats fans. So go online, vote for Anthony Rendon. You got till Thursday, 4 o'clock. I think Thursday you can put hashtag vote Rendon a lot of times, and they'll add those votes up. So feel free Thursday before 4 o'clock to do that. I think it's only a one-time thing, though, so don't put that every day. But again, when you can get 5 All-Stars, it shows you how great your team is. And again, that game next Tuesday in Miami, Bryce Harper not doing the home run derby, which is no surprise. He's going to probably do it, I would think, if he's healthy next year at Nats Park. He's not a huge fan of it, but I think he'll do it for the DC faithful. And maybe I don't think Ryan Zimmerman's going to do it. I think he's got to get his swing back in order to end the first half before you think about doing it. Would you want Ryan Zimmerman to do it? I mean, I think it would be a great just career moment for him. But you're looking to win a championship. So there's pros and cons to it. There's still gonna be a great home run derby anyway with guys like Cody Bellinger, Giancarlo Stanton, Miguel Sano, maybe Aaron Judge, hopefully Aaron Judge. It'll be fun anyway without Bryce, but we'll see. Judo got a retweet from Mark Zuckerman and Masson. Good job, Judo. Max and Strasburg give the Nats type of credibility in pitching that Randy and Kurt Schilling give the D-backs in their early years. Randy meaning Randy Johnson. Yeah, definitely. I think when you go into a series with those two guys, the way they're pitching right now, and I'm not going to throw Gio into that equation, but let's just do it for the sake of the argument. You throw 3 guys the way that those 3 are throwing the ball right now in a best of 5, you got a great chance to win the series. The only question is, what do you do with Tanner Roark and Joe Ross right now? But Max and Strasburg, when they're on their A game, they have stuff like what in Scherzer's case with Randy Johnson. Steven Strasburg, yet to really see him in that big playoff game outside of 2014, but hopefully he's healthy this year, and if the Nats do get there, he can have that kind of big playoff moments, have those Schilling-like moments that he had with Arizona and with Boston. So that's definitely a good comparison. I could see that there. So Nationals go to 48-34. They remain 7.5 ahead of Atlanta, which I thought was huge. The Braves have been really creeping up there, and we'll take a look at that when we do the NL East scoreboard. So they got a big week ahead. The Mets and the Braves coming to D.C. to end the first half, and both those teams are playing well. Mets have won 3 straight series. Atlanta's playing great, and they're going to get Freddie Freeman back likely for that series with the Nats. So you got to go in there in these last 7, and I think you got to win 5. You've got to get that margin back up to where these teams don't feel like they have a chance in the division. If you let them hang around, that bullpen problem creeps more and more and more and more. At least with a big margin, you can kind of work through it. Now the margin still, it's a pretty wide one at 7.5, but it was double digits a few weeks ago. So that's a little bit of an issue. So they need to go out there and they do that. I did see that Zuckerman tweet also. They had 10 double-digit K games as a franchise from 06 to 2011. That's scary. But Drew will tell you about it. I was not really watching the Nats during that time, but there's a lot of struggling years for the Nats. So kind of with this run they've been having, I'm sure a lot of fans do appreciate it. So let's look around the division, check out some scores. Phillies were taking on the Mets today. Philadelphia got the win 7-1. They avoided getting swept, and a good outing by former Nats farmhand Nick Pivetta. 7 innings, gave up just a TJ Rivera solo home run, walked 4 and struck out 4 on 96 pitches to get the win. 2 RBIs for Maikel Franco and Daniel Nava as Rafael Montero took the loss for the Mets. The Marlins beat Milwaukee 10-3. Marcell Ozuna, 3 for 6, 4 RBIs, 2 home runs, hit a home run with Giancarlo Stanton's bat. And Ozuna is going to be starting with Bryce Harper and Charlie Blackmon in the outfield for the National League. Dan Straley took the win, so Miami goes to 36-44. Milwaukee, by the way, still up 2 games on the Cubs in the Central. And Atlanta with a nice win today in Oakland, 4-3 in 12 innings. Jim Johnson blew the save in the 11th, but he still gets the win despite walking 3 and striking out 2. The game-winning hit coming in the top of the 12th inning by Kurt Suzuki, a solo shot. It's another former Nat getting involved. Matt Kemp had a double in this one. 2 home runs for Kurt Suzuki, actually, in this game. So the Braves, you got to think about what they've been doing with no Freddie Freeman, a pitching staff that has a lot of young guys in it. Bartolo Colon obviously is gone, but they're going with guys like Tehran, Sean Newcomb. Their bullpen has some good arms in it, but they're only a game under 500, and they're right in the mix of the wild card. That's about 6.5 games back. So Brian Snitker gets a lot of credit. He had a good second half last year, and he's doing it again this year. Maybe half of that because of the Matt Adams deal. But the Braves are competitive, and from watching them last April 2016 to now is a big, big difference in how competitive that team is. So Braves are no pushover. They have been pretty fun team to watch this year. And Atlanta gets a tough test, though. They've got a big week for them. They've got Houston coming into Atlanta before they head to D.C. So we'll find out more about the Braves this week for sure. So let me get you the big minor league news of the day. And normally we usually just go right into the scores, and there's something that caught my eye today. I know George Castillo from the Washington Post had it, so I want to get that tweet up real quick. The tweet was involving Eric Fetty. As you all know, he's in the bullpen right now for Syracuse, but it's been a little bit of a twist here. Here's Castillo's tweet from earlier today. Eric Fetty is scheduled to start tomorrow, meaning Monday, for Syracuse. Plans to stretch him back out to have as a starter or a bullpen option later in the season. When I saw this tweet today, I'll be honest, I was disappointed. You know this kind of thing when you have a top prospect. I've seen it here in New York with the Yankees. When you move guys back and forth, it's dangerous to do. We said that at the time when moving Fetty to the bullpen. And the Nationals, I think, now are realizing Tanner Roark, they don't know what's up with him. Joe Ross is still in ERA over 5, and Eric Fetty had a chance to get that job. He was in line to get that job until everybody found out he was moving to the bullpen. And you look at his numbers as a reliever at Syracuse, he's not striking many guys out with the Chiefs. Now you got to get his arm back up to stretch him out. That's a tough thing to do. He hasn't thrown many innings, which is good. So you can do that, but Fetty was supposed to be one of those internal bullpen options if they didn't go out and get a proven commodity at the closer or a late inning relief spot. So it's kind of, I don't know what the Nationals are thinking here. It's a little bit up and down with them. And you have a guy like Edwin Jackson who has not allowed a hit in 3 starts for Syracuse. Now, he's walked a lot of guys, but he's done a nice job in AAA. Last night he had a no-hitter through 6. So you have guys that at least can fill in if you need a starter like Edwin Jackson, AJ Cole. We'll see if Jacob Turner gets claimed, or they can have a starter or two. Unless they feel that Eric Fetty can be a starter in September or something like that. But I don't think they're traded him. It's just kind of surprising when you see what's going on with that situation. And we'll monitor that start tomorrow. He's taking on Buffalo. I'll have something, I'm sure, on it probably for Tuesday on this whole situation a little bit more. But Fetty, I've watched him a couple times this year. I've seen a couple of his bullpen outings on MILB.TV. I've watched one of his starts against Trenton earlier this year. His stuff is pretty good. It's not ace stuff, but it's not middle rotation. You've heard people come on the show and talk about him. Guys like Ryan Sullivan from Next GM talk about him a lot. But I want to see this kid make his major league debut this year. So if anything to get him to that point, I guess you do it. But getting him back up to a starter is going to be a challenge. And we'll see what happens with that. But again, that'll be tomorrow. So let's take a look around the minors, look at some scores. How about the Syracuse Chiefs? They've been playing some good baseball. They beat Buffalo today 5-2, and a good outing from A.J. Cole. 7 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits, 5 strikeouts, and 3 walks, 107 pitches, 66 strikes. He gets the win. Andrew Stevenson, another hit today. He goes to 256. Chris Heisey, playing in a rehab game, got a hit off Aaron Sanchez today, who was making a rehab start for the Blue Jays. Neftali Soto went 2 for 4 with a home run. So the Chiefs to 30-50. But again, their record is bad, but they've played better lately. Harrisburg had a doubleheader with Binghamton and lost both games late. They lost the first game 1-0. Remember, they only played 7 innings, so they lost in the bottom of the 7th. Matthew Crownover, who has yet to win for the Senators, and he deserved a win today. 6 innings, 4 hits, struck out 6, walked 1, but it was Andrew Robinson taking the loss in the 7th. And then in game 2, Binghamton scored 2 runs in the 6th inning against Jimmy Cordero, and the Rumble Ponies beat Harrisburg 3-2. Multi-hit games for Corbin Joseph, Jose Marmoleos, and Jake Lowry, the lone RBI from Yadiel Hernandez. Working Estevez gave up 1 run over 5 innings, but he did walk 4 and struck out 4 on 101 pitches, just 52 strikes. So Harrisburg at 34-47. Potomac taking on Bowie's Creek, and Potomac lost 3-2. But Dan Gamache, he's hitting the ball great since coming up to third base for the Peanuts. 3 for 4 today. He had the lone RBI. Grant Bourne walked 5 over 4 innings, gave up a couple of runs, but it was Kyle Sheppel who took the loss. 1 run over 2 innings. Potomac now 37-44. Hagerstown, who had an 8-game winning streak until a couple days ago, they lost the last 2 games to Lakewood. They lost 2-0 today. Good outing by Sterling Sharp. 7 innings, 1 run, 6 hits, 6 Ks, but a hard luck loser. Just 4 hits for Hagerstown. Keep an eye on Mackenzie Mills to get that start tomorrow for Hagerstown, going for his 10th win in the South Atlantic League. Auburn had a doubleheader with Mahoning Valley. They lost game 1 3-0, and they lost game 2 3-2. Solo shots by Paul Paniccioni and Chance Shepard, but the Double Days are 3-10. They've just not had a lot of luck in the close games this year. And the GCL Nats, a 6-1 win over the Mets. They're 4-1. So let me go back to, we got a couple tweets here on Fetty. Judo asked, bullpen or Roark hysteria, and Drew says definitely appears to be a panic move. I agree with Drew, and Drew and I talked about this earlier today. It strikes me, and again, they see Atlanta creeping up, and they see the struggles the bullpen keeps having, and they're trying to think of any ways to go about it. But now you got to see they're worried about. I think they're worried about Tanner Roark, because you can have debates on what's wrong with him, but I don't think even they know. Because I remember before that Marlins outing, I remember watching Dan Coco on the rundown and talking about how Tanner Roark and Mike Maddox watched him film, and they said they found what his adjustments he needed to make. Well, he's been bad ever since I heard that comment. So I don't even think they know. I mean, watching him Friday night was painful to watch him walk 5 guys and only pitch 3 innings. I felt like that was rock bottom for him. He had an 8.31 ERA in June. And it's not going to get any better. He's facing Jacob deGrom on Wednesday. So you look at that matchup for Roark, it's not good. And I don't know if he needed a I said it Friday. I would have put him on the 10-day DL if something was wrong and said, you know what, I'll see you after the All-Star break. But they have a big issue with Roark, and that you would thought the Fetty making him a starter week for Joe Ross, but Joe Ross has been at least somewhat better the last couple of games. They need Roark to get back. They need that 4th consistent guy to sort of be the glue in that rotation. And again, we don't know the full extent. I would love to hear Mike Rizzo comment on this, at least on the Fetty front, why they're making this move. I'm sure we'll hear about it in the next few days or so, but it's a surprise. I did not expect Fetty to be a starter this year, and to kind of go off the plan back and forth. You wonder, A, how he adjusts to it, and B, does it affect its development, which is the most important. Players develop differently. You just don't want to throw them off track. I think Fetty wasn't bad as a reliever, but I want to see him as a starter. I think he can have more of an impact there. And the Nationals, I think, we just have to go out and hopefully find some bullpen pieces. They've been linked to Ryan Madsen, linked to Sean Doolittle, linked to David Robertson, Kelvin Herrera. I don't think they're going to get their top prospects, and the Royals are not in the position to sell. You look at it right now, there's not a lot of teams that are going to sell. If you end the season today, almost like everybody's in it. Oakland maybe isn't in it. Detroit's probably not in it with Justin Wilson. San Diego's not in it. The Phillies aren't in it. I don't even think Miami's in it. And the guy I kind of like from Miami would be David Phelps. Sure, you could go for A.J. Ramos, but that's going to cost you a pretty penny as a closer. If you can't get the closers, I get a guy like Phelps I can throw in any situation. I think he can be a long man, seventh inning guy. He can do a little bit of everything. I don't know what the price tag will be. But with Miami sort of look in that state where they're trying to sell the team, maybe that makes a little bit of sense. But they need that proven arm to set everybody going. And we'll talk about it more over the next few weeks. But I don't know when that arm's coming or if it's coming. So Fetty was kind of sort of the solution to it. Now you wonder what their bullpen plan is. I wish I knew it. I wish I could tell you guys, but I don't know. So let's take a look at the starting pitching matchup for tomorrow. Drew's going to be with you tomorrow night for the start of the series. 3-game set. I have the 5 to watch going up tomorrow morning about 10, so you can check that out. 10:30, you can check that one out. Steven Matz to get the start for the Mets, 2-1 with a 2.67 ERA against Steven Strasburg, who's 9-2 with a 3.51. Strasburg was dominant against the Cubs last time out, 13 strikeouts over 7. But he's had to battle in his last few starts before that, and the Mets have made him work a few times this year. I remember that last start again he had against the Mets. Nats took 3 of 4 in the last series at Citi Field where he had to battle it out and get the double plays he needed. So the Mets have had their success against Strasburg. It's not like, remember, Cespedes had 3 hits. Jay Bruce had 3 hits. Not out of the realm of possibility that Strasburg might not have dominant outing, but I expect him to be good. And Steven Matz, you look at his last outing against Miami, he was solid after walking so many hitters against the Dodgers. And really what the Nats did a few weeks ago was they hit a bunch of home runs against him. So I'm expecting a good pitcher's duel because you look at the 3 pitchers in this series, Jacob deGrom, Seth Lugo, and Steven Matz, not in that order. We're 10-3 in June combined. So it's been really those 3 guys that have given the Mets any hope to stay in the race, and their offense has played well. Michael Conforto's on the DL, even though he did make the All-Star team. Curtis Granderson was out today with an injury. We'll see if he's fine, because Granderson's been hitting over 300 in June. Well, he did hit 300 in June. Jay Bruce had 8 home runs in June along with Granderson. So their offense can hit. Asdrubal Cabrera's hitting the ball better. Their pitching's just a big concern. But fortunately for the Nationals, they get their 3 best starters. So it's not Syndergaard, Harvey, deGrom, or not even Wheeler, who looked bad Saturday. The Nats should go in and try to, and hopefully get 2. I just don't want to, if you're the Nats, you don't want to get swept. Because you look at that Wednesday game, it's a mismatch. You're trying to get Monday's game with Strasburg and then hope your offense scores enough runs for Joe Ross against Seth Lugo on Tuesday. Maybe the 11 a.m. start helps you at that point. But that'll be something to watch. So Drew's with you tomorrow. Ron is with you 4th of July. Remember, that's 11 a.m. game. I'm with you Wednesday for deGrom and Roark. Judo put his Cody Glover just too much of a wild card. Trust this point with his durability. And Judo, I don't even know when you're getting Cody Glover back. I mean, now you got the back issue. He hasn't even started throwing yet. It's a wild card just to when he comes back. And you're right, the durability is the big concern. But I don't think he's had enough games to prove he can be the dominant closer. I can't, if I'm the Nationals, not make a move banking on Glover coming back. I can't do that. If Coda comes back, you got to slot him in the 8th inning, and maybe you get a closer only for the 1 year, and you try Glover again next year. But he's got to work on. Ron talked about it, and I agreed with him. The frustration of him not telling anybody he was hurt really sticks with you, because he kind of did that last year with the hip, and he did the same thing again this year. He has to know when he can and can't pitch. So Glover, again, I think he is the wild card, but you need him back on the field before you can put an expectation for him. At least Sammy Solis is back, and I think he'll help. What do we have up on the site today? A lot of stuff up on the site today. Drew has his player of the week. I'm not going to tell you who it is because I think you should read it to find out. So go to the site. It's right there. Ron has more on Jacob Turner being DFA'd yesterday or Saturday, whenever you're listening to this. And Brian Foley, one of our writers, says, should you trade Michael Taylor for a relief pitcher? Interesting take from Brian, so you can check that out. Drew's got an article tomorrow on the All-Star selections. Again, the Nats getting 5. Rendon on the final vote, so a chance for 6. Go online, MLB.com, and vote Rendon. So Drew's got more on that. I'll have 5 to watch from Net to Nats. I think Ron has something else, and I'm trying hopefully for Tuesday to work on something involving Eric Fetty. So hopefully I'll get to watch some of that game tomorrow night, and we'll see what happens from there. But I'm intrigued to see him as a starter again. I'm just a little worried about why they're making this move. So we'll see. So the Nationals were able to at least avoid the sweep. They ended the mini road trip on a good note. They got a good, happy flight, plane flight back. Remember, it's 6:05 tomorrow. So adjust your schedule accordingly. 6:05 Monday, 11:05 a.m. Tuesday, 7:05 p.m. Wednesday. So different start times, these 3 games. And I think the Nationals are going to have a good week. And I'm going to predict Ryan Zimmerman becomes the Nationals' all-time home Expos and Nats home run leader this week. He has great numbers against the Mets. He has great numbers against Atlanta this year. And he's been too cold to not have one of those hot streaks. He's due for one. I think he's going to have a huge week this week. So if you do one of those like pick-to-click things, I'm telling you, pick Ryan Zimmerman. I think the day off today is going to help him big time. And Drew kind of told you that yesterday. So he'll be back with you Monday. So feel free to have some fun with Drew. I think a good battle of the Stevens. Sorry we don't have anybody named Steven we can kind of put on that one. It'd be really fun. But Drew will do a good job too. So for all of us here at District on Deck, I'm not going to be with you until after 4th of July, so I hope you guys have a great 4th of July. Stay safe. Hope you have a great time with your family, whatever you're doing, and watching some Nats baseball with 1 week left until the All-Star break. So from all of us, I'm Ricky Keeler saying have a great rest of your night and a great 4th of July weekend.